I'm not a lawyer, but let's get into what happened before lunch on day 9 of the Diddy trial. Diddy's former assistant, George Kaplan, was back on the stand continuing his direct exam. Early in his testimony on day 9, he says there were 3 long-term relationships that he was aware of that Diddy had: Cassie, Kim Porter, and Gina. He then goes on to detail a time in 2015 that he witnessed Diddy being violent to Cassie. He says they were on a private jet headed to Vegas when he heard glass break. He testified he looked back and saw Diddy standing over Cassie while Cassie was laying on her back with her legs up as if she was, quote, trying to create space between the two of them. Kaplan said Diddy was holding a whiskey rocks glass in his hand, and then, quote, there was a tremendous commotion and stumble, and then the glass crashed. Kaplan said he looked away, but then Cassie screamed, quote, is anybody seeing this? After that incident, Kaplan said Diddy went to a different area of the plane and told Cassie to stay in the back. Kaplan says that he, Diddy's staff, and Diddy's management were all on the plane, but no one checked on Cassie or called the police. He said he was later asked to get some creams for Cassie's face. On another occasion, Kaplan says that Diddy called him over the intercom system at his house, telling him to come to the master bedroom. Once there, he says Diddy told him to go pick up some over-the-counter products like witch hazel, which Kaplan realized could be used to help with swelling. He also says that when he was in the room, he saw Cassie crying on the bed with her head in her hands, and he saw some bruising on her face, but he didn't stop to check on her or talk to her. Kaplan says he went to the store and got the products using his corporate card. When asked by prosecutors why Kaplan left the company, Kaplan said, quote, the central reason that I left my job as Mr. Combs' assistant was that I was not comfortable or aligned with the physical behavior that had been going on that I had seen pieces of over the course of a couple months. Kaplan said he didn't want to be a part of, quote, fixing those type of things. And he also said it was, quote, extremely challenging because I was obviously extremely grateful to be in the role and have a great deal of respect for Mr. Combs, but in my heart of hearts, I knew it was the right thing to do. In another incident, George Kaplan described seeing Diddy throw apples at his girlfriend Gina. Kaplan said it was in late 2015 in the entryway of his Miami home. Diddy was very angry and throwing either real green apples or decorative ones at Gina, and she was, quote, trying to shield herself with her arms. Kaplan again said he didn't say anything because he was just a young kid trying to make it in the entertainment industry, and this was essentially his first professional endeavor, and at one point he thought this might be normal. However, following these incidents, Kaplan said he did decide to leave Combs Enterprises. Specifically, after witnessing the apple throwing incident, he told Diddy's chief of staff, Christina Coram, that this was, quote, going to be the last straw for me, and I was going to see my way out of this role over a period of time. When telling Diddy why he was leaving, Kaplan said he told him he was leaving because his dad was sick. In response to this, Kaplan said that Diddy was, quote, extremely gracious, and that Kaplan stayed in touch with Diddy because he liked him and wanted to continue having a relationship with him. Kaplan said he wishes Diddy a happy birthday every year on November 4th. And then it was time for cross-examination, and Diddy's defense attorney, Mark Agnifilo, handles cross. In describing some of the positive parts of working with Diddy, George Kaplan says, quote, working for Mr. Combs made my world so much bigger in such a short period of time. He said when you work with Diddy, part of the job, whether you're close with him or not, he has an extremely infectious vibration. You're around him and you feel his excitement. Kaplan went on to say that he still carries business lessons that he learned from Diddy to this day, and he believes he wouldn't have had the jobs and success he's had if he hadn't worked for Diddy. Kaplan talked about how important diversity was for Diddy and how he was around to witness some of Diddy's business ventures like Revolt, as well as some marketing for Ciroc. In describing his job in day-to-day, Kaplan said that Diddy would say, we are going to leave the house, and that meant they would be leaving in 3 to 5 minutes. So he had a checklist for bags and toiletry items because if something was missing, it would be a bad look. Agnifilo then asked Kaplan about how purchases were made and tracked, to which Kaplan said Christina Coram carried Diddy's wallet and the only things in it were Diddy's driver's license and a black American Express. Kaplan said Diddy certainly was not tracking the purchases of baby oil or applesauce. Kaplan added that Diddy loved applesauce and not just on cheeseburgers. He apparently loved it on everything. Kaplan said, quote, his, meaning Diddy's, world was the size of Earth. To think that he knew where some of these things were coming from is unrealistic. Kaplan is then asked about Diddy's relationship with Kim Porter, to which he says that Diddy's respect for Kim was different, and when he would set up hotel rooms for the two of them, there was lotions, no baby oil. After Kim passed, Kaplan said that he was heartbroken for Diddy and sent him a picture he had of Diddy and Kim. Kaplan also said that he invited Diddy to his wedding, but he never heard back. And then there was an objection. In wrapping up his cross-examination, George Kaplan is shown a picture of him, Christina Coram, and Diddy at an airport. They all have champagne, and Kaplan says that Diddy had just gotten his jet. Agnifilo asked Kaplan if he's happy in the picture, but Kaplan says that he's happy because he had just found the mascara in the back seat. Kaplan also says that he did not want to testify, but because he was subpoenaed, he had to. And then Kid Cudi is called to the stand.